Harold Godwinson seized the day in York, and now a new threat was approaching from the south. William's armada that had been assembled from Normandy, Flanders and Brittany was landing on the English coast, outside the town of Pevensey. William had been in talks with Harold Hardrada regarding their claim to the English throne, and towards the end of 1065 into early 1066, he started construction on a fleet of ships to land in England and take the claim. Depending on the source is depending how accurate his diplomatic support was from other nations. Most famously is that Pope Alexander II gave William a papal banner. This, however, only appears in William of Poitiers' account of the events. In April 1066, one night, Halley's Comet was seen and widely reported across Europe. Many contemporary accounts link the comet to England's succession crisis at the time. William, Duke of Normandy, congregated his forces at Saint Valery-sur-Somme and by August 12th was ready to invade England. Unfortunately for William, due to numerous factors including the weather and the English Navy, the invasion was delayed. Eventually, they had their chance, and only a few days after Godwinson's victory at Stamford Bridge, they landed at Pevensey, Sussex, on the 28th of September, with a few ships being blown off course to land at Romney. After landing, William erected a wooden fortification at Hastings from which he would conduct all English operations. Details about William's forces are widely unknown, but one source claims a total of 776 ships, over twice the size of Harold Hardrada's fleet. Sources of the size of his armed forces are even more vague, ranging from 14,000 to 150,000, more than that Thermopylae. Modern estimates stay within the realm of reality, estimating William had 7,000 to 8,000 men with 1,000 to 2,000 cavalry. Some even bump up to 10,000 men and 3,000 cavalry. Either way, we know that the invasion force was 1/2 infantry, 1/4 cavalry, and 1/4 archers and crossbowmen. After defeating Hardrada and Tostig, Godwinson decided to leave the majority of his forces at Stamford and march the rest of his troops south to meet William. No one knows when Harold truly learnt of William's invasion, but most can speculate it was during the march south. Godwinson stopped in London for a week before the battle, meaning, as an astounding feat, he managed to march 27 miles a day. Harold would then march his forces down to Coulbeck Hill on the night of the 13th of October, only 8 miles from William's castle in Hastings. Godwinson did try to surprise the Norman forces, but William's scouts reported the arrival of English forces. The morning of the battle, William marched his invasion force to meet Godwinson, who had taken defensive positions at Senlac Hill, located in the modern town of Battle. The battle would begin at 9 AM on Saturday, October 14th, with Harold deploying in the iconic shield wall atop the hill. The flanks were protected by the thick woods either side of them, and they had the advantage of a marshland in front of them. The Normans had been deployed into 3 groups. The left held the Bretons, along with troops from Anjou, Poitou and Maine, all being commanded by Alan the Red. The centre held the Normans, under direct control of William himself. The right held the Frenchmen, along with others from Picardy, Boulogne and Flanders, under command of William Fitzosborne and Eustache II of Boulogne. They had arranged their archers in the front, with a line of foot infantry behind them, and the cavalry was held in reserve. The opening move was from the Normans, firing a volley up towards the English shield wall with little effect. The English height advantage almost eliminated the threat from projectiles. However, the English lacked any archers of their own, which also hindered the Normans, as they couldn't reuse their arrows. After the archers failed, the Norman foot infantry attacked the shield wall, being met by a barrage of spears, axes and stones. With the infantry failing, the cavalry tried to the same little success. This prompted a retreat, as a rumour spread amongst the left that William was dead, and foolishly, the English followed them into the marsh. William made sure to inspire the troops by calling out that he was indeed alive, and sent a force to take out the English that had broken away from their defence. No one knows truly why the counterattack happened. The Bayeux Tapestry depict the deaths of Godwinson's brothers, Gaius and Leofwin, meaning that they had led the charge. The Carmen de Hastings Prelio tells a different account of Gareth's death. William of Poitiers wrote that the brothers died with Harold. A small pause in the fighting would have been called for food, and this gave William the chance to think of a new strategy, most likely inspired by the English counterattack earlier that day. William thought, if they could send the cavalry to harass the wall and then pull back, the English would swiftly follow. This would ultimately weaken the line and collapse it. Once fighting resumed, the feigned retreats didn't break the line entirely, but thinned them as predicted. There are accounts of archers being used to thin the wall. However, no evidence can be found to support the claim that they fired them high into the air to shoot over the wall. History has written that Harold would die late into the battle, sustaining a fatal arrow to the eye, even though the Bayeux Tapestry depicts otherwise. The death was first recorded by an Italian monk, Amatus of Monte Cassino, in the 1080s, which is where the arrow gets its legacy. After Harold died, the English started to waver and rout, while the soldiers of the royal household gathered around Harold's body and fought until the end. The Normans pursued the fleeing troops, ending the battle at a site known as the Malfosse. The battle was over. Normans had done to the English what the English had done to the Norsemen only a month earlier. The day after, Harold's body was confirmed, and his standard was sent to William, who then forwarded it to Pope Alexander II. The bodies were left on the battlefield. Some were removed later by relatives. The Normans buried all their dead in a mass communal grave, which still remains undiscovered. Casualty figures are unknown. Some predict a 50% casualty rate for the English, but this is too high for some. 1 in 7 Normans were reported to have been killed, at least in the noble ranks. The foot soldier deaths were thought to be much higher, predicted at 1 in 4. Maron predicts the casualties could be around 2,000 Normans to 4,000 English. William ordered Harold's body to be thrown into the sea. Whether it happened is unclear, as another story recalls Harold's body being buried on a cliff. William expected submission by the English, but Edgar of Effeling was proclaimed king upon support of the Earls Edwin and Morcar, Stigand, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and Ealdred, the Archbishop of York. William, therefore, marched on London, going around the Kent coast. He defeated an English force at Southwark, but couldn't get past London Bridge, forcing him to find another route. He crossed the Thames at Wallingford, where he would receive the submission of Stigand. He then marched north-east to Chilterns, before coming down on London from the northwest. The English would surrender to William at Berkhamsted, Herefordshire, and William became the King of England on December 25th, 1066. Rebellions would occur in Exeter, 1067, in Northumbria, 1068, along with rebellions in the south and west, and a further rebellion by Hereward the Wake in 1070. Battle Abbey would be founded by William at the site of the battle, and upon William's vow, the high altar was placed where Harold had died. A lot of what we know of the Battle of Hastings is immortalised in the Bayeux Tapestry, along with the many records that now rest at the historic site of Battle Abbey in modern-day Battle. Walking the grounds where the battle took place was one of the best experiences I've done, and if anyone gets the chance, they should indeed take it. While a lot isn't known about the battle, we do know what definitely happened. And that battle would forge the modern Britain we live in, nearly 1,000 years later.